Hello everyone. Hello everyone. Welcome, 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 welcome. We are live on Facebook Live with The Rise Creating Your Voice. I am Judah Bernard, the Wisdom Dialoguer and the Motivational Warrior, here with a special guest. We're on season 2, episode 2, and everyone knows that season 2 is about moving forward. Moving forward gives you an opportunity to draw a conclusion or move toward whatever your goal or task or your mission statement or whatever you're trying to move toward or away from, so you can just let it go. So we got a special guest on here who's an author, an educator, a dating expert, and a weight loss influencer. So without further ado, I want to introduce to some and present to others author Kiana Daniels.
Hello, everybody. Thank you so much, Judah, for having me on. I am so excited to be chatting with you today.
I am more than elated to have you on here as part of our episode because the season is about moving forward, and I thought that we needed something for our women, young ladies, our girls, our Beyoncés, our Kellys, our Karens, our whoever, the ladies, our Teresas, our Tamaras, our all of those pretty young ladies out there, the Hennessy, wherever they name their child.
Oh, goodness.
Montana, whoever they may be called at this particular time. You know, they start naming them some serious names after a while.
Yes.
But I want to make sure that I give, homage to all of those children out there, but also the iconic Cicely Tyson, may she rest in heaven.
Yes.
I want to give a shout out to her and her family, the Tyson family. May she rest in peace. That's one female that I know that I honored. She was a great actress, a great icon.
Yes, absolutely.
In history.
Mm-hmm.
She lived 96 iconic years. I have to say that. To me, and that's just my opinion. I don't know what everybody else thinks, but she was very valuable. And I can always remember when she played Jane Pittman. And that was the highlight of my repertoire with her. And her playing that. And I was like, I don't know who that lady is, but she gonna be great.
Yes.
I didn't know her name, but I was like, because she looked like Jane Pittman. But moving forward with Girl Move On, I know we have a actual book out about Girl Move On, and it's about a guide for letting go. Tell us more about that.
Yeah, so Girl Move On, A Guide for Letting Go is a book that I wrote in 2016 after going through a toxic relationship. And so kind of what spurred it is I work in education, I work with college students. And so I remember one day talking to a couple of my students, and they were going through some toxic situations. And I was advising them that they needed to get out of these situations because it was no good. But at the same time, I was in one too. And I was kind of like, how am I giving them advice on them? And I'm not, living this advice. And there was an age gap, an age difference between them and myself. And I'm like, okay, I'm at my age, I was in my 20s back then, but I'm at my age older than these girls who were like 19, 20 going through this. They're going through this. And so I was like, let me start journaling. And that was one of the things that I did to make my way out of this situation. And so the journal just turned into a book of me writing down my thoughts and how I felt, writing down my experiences with this person. And then it just turned into a full-fledged book of me wanting to encourage other women, just seeing friends and family, students going through toxic relationships and knowing that sometimes we're not taught warning signs, or we're not taught how to process and perceive and go through a red flag. We just kind of look at stuff and we're like, okay, well, this is what I'm going through. It doesn't really feel good, but this is what I want to do, so I'm gonna keep doing it. And we're not taught that, you don't have to do this. You don't have to participate in a toxic relationship. You are free to move on. And that's where the book title came from, Girl Move On. And it's something that I'm trying to continue to live by daily and encourage women. So on my Instagram and Facebook, it's me just putting out videos and quotes and different memes just to encourage people to let go of toxic relationships.
And I noticed that in it, because I am a man, that you do talk about men do lie, cheat, and do
Yeah.
other things, and we all struggle.
Yes.
So how can we come together as human? And I know
Mm-hmm.
we're talking about women particularly, but as human, so we can come together to make a more unified approach where all of us
Mm-hmm.
are not lying and cheating or doing that. Because I find sometimes in relationships that if I lie, they lie.
Yep.
If I cheat, they cheat. Or I did this because you did this. So it's
Mm-hmm.
a kind of tit for tat type of thing. So
Yeah.
how do we kind of like look at, let's have fun together and be happy in that fun?
Yeah. I mean, I think now that I'm in a space where I'm a little bit more self-aware, what I would say is when people are in relationship, you really got to be aware of who you are and what energy you're bringing to the relationship. And you need to get with somebody else that is on that same level. That way it's not tit for tat. So if I, if I'm trying to be aware of my flaws and my character and what I bring, because nobody is perfect. And that's one thing that I really preach, because sometimes we have in our mind like, okay, I got to get this perfect person. That doesn't exist. I'm not a perfect person.
Right.
But if I'm using my flaws and my imperfections and leveraging them, so like, sometimes when you go on job interviews, they'll say like, what are your strengths and weaknesses? And how do you use your weaknesses um, to your advantages, or how do you use your strengths, things like that. I feel like that same concept applies to relationships. If I know I have a weakness in this area, what am I going to do to cultivate that weakness? And I don't want to necessarily get with someone who is going to make that, exacerbate. It's going to make it worse. So if I'm going to be with somebody, if I know that I have, like, let's say I'm not really good with money, let's put that example out there. I don't necessarily want to get with somebody that might not be good together. Like, if we doing this together, it might not be a good thing for us. Maybe I need to be with somebody who is really strong in that area so I can learn and develop. And so I think being self-aware, being honest with yourself, being honest with your partner, and making sure that you're picking somebody that has a good foundation and good character. It won't be that back and forth. Well, I, lied to you. Now you're going to lie to me. You won't find yourself in those situations if you both are putting in 100% effort into making the relationship a positive experience for both partners.
So we're at square zero, Kiana. So let's look at it like this. So I come to you with vulnerability, and I'm the man,
Mm-hmm.
but as the woman is not as truthful with me as I am with her. We're back at square zero, and we've been dating for 6 months, and now she comes up with all her flaws after 6 months. What happens then?
Yeah, I think when one thing that I encourage is when you're first dating somebody and getting to know them, is that you really take some time to do that process. One thing that I do find is that if you're at square zero and in 6 months, there's no way you can know a person fully
Hmm.
in that amount of time. It's going to take time. And even you'll hear couples who've been together for years and years saying that they're still learning things about their partners. So I would say, us knowing that people are not perfect, but there are certain things that people might be doing that just don't work. So let's say, your partner is cheating and that's a deal breaker for you. That's not
Right.
something you want to continue. Like if it's a communication issue, or maybe your partner didn't tell the whole truth, getting down to the root of what's going on here, seeing change behavior, working with that person, it's a lot different than tolerating bad character and bad, toxic traits. So you have to look at it from that way. And then also making sure that you're vetting people in the dating process. Because sometimes what we do is we see somebody, we like them, we think they look good. And it's like, okay, now let's be together. And I don't think that that's the proper way to do things. Like, maybe this person might not be a good fit for you. Just because they look good doesn't mean that they are good or are good for you. And somebody can look good and have good character and still may not be a good fit for you. So, going through the dating process with an open mind, asking a lot of questions, testing out how you feel, journaling, talking to a therapist, or talking with friends can help that process be like, we need to date smarter. And that's my goal for, working with women and being in this position is like, okay, after a toxic relationship, you need to learn how to date smarter. Like, you can't keep approaching your dating situations the same way. How can you do it in a way that will be productive for you and that person that you're dating also?
So, I know you talked about in your book that how to identify the types of men you should avoid.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a certain type that individual women always choose, or?
Yeah, that's a great question. I don't think that I could generalize saying that there's a certain type, but there are certain characteristics that I think that we should be conscious of so that we're not landing in pitfalls. So I do have a full list in the book. So I put in there.
Y'all better go and get this book. She got the full list.
It's a full list because I don't.
You might have the names in there too.
We're not taught. So the way I do it in a book, hashtags are really popular. So I use a different hashtag for different characteristics that we might want to look at and say, well, this might not be good because I don't feel like we're taught. Sometimes it's just like we see fairy tales. Okay, you go out there, you date, you get married, you have kids. There's a lot in between those steps. And when you're dealing with another person and their personality and character and their childhood, all of that, it makes for a more interesting ride than, go out there, get married, and have kids. It's not that cut and dry. So I do talk about people like men who consistently lie, men who consistently cheat, men who use women, who abuse women, who manipulate and take advantage. Like, these are things that you definitely want to avoid. Not saying that you are going to find the perfect person, but you want to have a person who has good moral compass and a good foundation. But if they're like consistently, in a bad state and have bad character and doing things that bring you pain and misery, you want to avoid that. But some people think it's worth it. They'll put up with it hoping that this person will change. And I don't think it works like that. Not to say that people can't change, because they can. But you want to make sure that when you're dating, that you're seeing a person with good character. And if you see some of the warning signs, that you're avoiding that.
I definitely want to give a shout out to Kathy Williamson. She said to get the book, y'all. So make sure you guys get the book.
That's my mom. Hey, mom.
Hey, mom. Hey, mom. Kathy Williamson said, get the book, y'all. You make sure that because we don't get to know people for who they are, you have to ask a lot of questions.
Yes.
You have to ask a lot of questions. And ask questions that you usually don't ask.
Right. Yeah. I think sometimes we will ask basic questions like,
no, not me.
Where do you work? Well, it's some people do. Like, where do you work? What do you do?
I don't want to know where you work.
Yeah, they'll ask.
If we're on a date, you should be working.
Yeah, definitely. But people don't ask those deep questions. And I feel like there's a time and a place. And I definitely want to write a book about that part too. Like, what are you supposed to be asking, like, to get to the root of who this person is? Because some things you'll get in the questions and some things you'll definitely get by experience. But if you're asking the right questions, you'll be able to pick up on if this person, like what this person is saying to you is the truth, or if they're telling you something that you can kind of ask a follow-up question on to get more information. But yes, questions are important. You want to make sure you're asking the right ones. Not just basic colors. Like, it's nice to know their favorite color and their favorite toppings on their pizza. That's cute. But you want to know, okay, so tell me about, where did you grow up? Like, what was your relationship like with your parents? Do you have any siblings? What was it like in the house, for y'all? You know, who were you close to?
Tell me, how do you deal with a stressful situation?
Yeah, when you're stressed out, how do you act? When you get sick, like how are you responding? You know, things like that. When you get angry,
what's your credit score?
For real, yeah. When you get angry, what is your response? You know, you don't want to get down the line dating somebody and they get angry and now they're like throwing stuff, punching the bag. It's like, whoa, who is this person? Or like you said, they got bad credit and now you guys are trying to get married and y'all can't get nothing because you didn't ask or make sure that part of knowing them, you don't know that part.
Yeah, I have applications now, so I don't have time to talk anymore. Fill out applications. I'll get back with you in 6 months.
Dating is about gathering data. You know,
that's it.
You need the data to be able to see if this person is a good fit for you.
I'm the new Equifax.
We have to be, because sometimes we skip that part, and then, you know, a lot of times we'll fall in love based on what we think is there, even though we don't know because we didn't ask and we didn't experience this part of that person. So that's why I really advise to take your time. You don't want to be moving too fast because then you'll look up, you'll marry a person, and now you're like, well, I didn't know. You should have found out.
And always remember, ladies, if a man invites you over to their house or want to go to your house too quickly, it's a easy
red flag.
And I'm gonna tell you that as a man.
That's a red flag for sure. No Netflix and chilling if you're not with this person. No, it's a big no.
Like your mom said, do you want kids? Do you like kids? Or how many kids you already have?
Exactly. Do you take care of your kids? What's the
Let me see your wallet.
Your mother? Yeah. You gotta know these things because you'll find yourself in a situation and now you're looking crazy because you didn't do your work.
I like to ask the question because I know you said, girl, move on, let go. Mm-hmm. But I know some people get caught up in letting go. Mm-hmm. Let's try to decipher what letting go means for some people.
Yeah, so I'll say what letting go means to me because I know folks can have different interpretations of what letting go means.
Yes.
Because for me, letting go means to take a clear, clean break from the relationship. You're done. You're no longer dating. You're no longer talking. There's nothing that exists between you two unless maybe you have children by this person. Yes. Or like business deals that you still need to iron out before you can close the relationship out. To me, that's what letting go means. I know for other people, letting go can mean, well, maybe we are not together, but we still deal with each other. We still talk, or when I get lonely, I can call this person up. No, if you're really letting go, you're done. The relationship is over. There's no need for communication outside of children or business deals. Other than that, you are not communicating with this person. And it's a process because I understand that it's not easy to let go of a toxic relationship. Breaking up in any capacity, whether it was toxic or something that just didn't work out, it can be devastating. You know, heartbreak is nothing easy to deal with. But when you're getting out of a toxic relationship, you really got to do some work so you make sure you don't find yourself back in the situation. And so that sometimes means no contact, cutting that person off, you know, block their number, block them on Facebook, block them on social media, whoever their family is, however they might be able to reach you, you're cutting off all of those modes of communication so that you can focus on yourself. When you leave lines of communication open, that's you saying that I might want to welcome this relationship back into my life. When you cut it off, that's you saying I'm done, it's over, and I'm going to focus on myself and what I want to do after this relationship is done.
You're going in and out.
Am I? Oh no. Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can.
Okay, cool. I'm gonna move everything up. But I was just saying it's a clean break where you cut everything off, and no communication, no contact outside of children or business deals. That's it.
And so can you give them tips? Because I think what sometimes people don't understand, and I would say women, because we're talking about women and girls, mm-hmm. And ladies, that it becomes a tie sometimes that they want to come back and
Mm-hmm.
still eat in the pudding, and then say, well, I don't want to be with you, but then I want to come
Mm-hmm.
back and eat in the pudding. But I
Yeah.
still want to be with you, but then I want to come back and eat in the pudding.
Yeah. It's called
But I
a
want to let
soul tie.
go, but I still
Mm-hmm.
want to come back and, but
Yeah.
who is texting in your phone now?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
how do you manage that? Because now emotionally, everyone is caught up.
Yep. Yep. Yeah. I definitely believe in soul ties and that you can be connected to somebody and you need some assistance getting that broken. And so what I would recommend for that is, if you're involved in church, you have a trusted leadership, trusted people that you go to them. If you have a therapist that you work with them, because you can find yourself in a cycle of, okay, I'm in it, now I'm out, back in it, now I'm out. And then you look up and 20 years has passed and you're still in and out of a situation with the same person and you don't want that. So you want to make sure that you're working with someone else because it is really difficult to break that type of cycle by yourself. So you need the assistance of a professional, of a trusted leader in your church. You need help letting it go because you'll need to have accountability measures in place because as soon as you might get lonely or that person has found another mechanism in which to contact you, you'll fall right back into it. And so it can be difficult, but it can be done. And I think that's the part that people miss because they go through the cycle so much, they think that they can't let it go, but you can. It can be done, but you have to work really hard to make it happen.
And let's understand to our listeners that this can happen both either way, that the man
Mm-hmm.
does the dipping in the pudding or the woman dips in the pudding. But what
Yeah.
we're saying um that it needs to be a mediator, a professional life coach,
Yes.
professional therapist, someone to mediate in between. That means you guys can't handle this right now.
Yeah.
That both of you guys are dipping in the pudding and y'all playing each other.
Yes. Yeah,
So
there's no point in doing like you can't be trying to let go of somebody and still entertaining them. It does not
right.
work that way. You need somebody to help you figure that part
That means everybody's in the pond with bait and everybody's a fishing. And
Yes, get you a
it's not a good
professional.
situation.
No, I swear by my therapist. I meet with my therapist every 2 weeks and
Right.
we've been able to talk through a lot of things that
Yes.
from my childhood, misconceptions that I had that the world tells you, just being able to unpack things in a way that makes sense with someone who, is unbiased. This is a therapist, this is
Yes.
their job. And
Yes.
so building that relationship with her has been a game changer for me because I can take so much to her, like, okay, I grew up thinking this, or I grew up seeing this, or the world says that you're supposed to do it this way. But here's what I think, like, what do we do with this? And she helps me to unpack it.
Right.
So I like today I was just talking to one of my good friends and I was telling her, I was like, we were also this like fairy tale, like you gotta get married, have kids, do things this way, like in this
Yeah.
order. And I'm like, I'm rejecting that. Like, I don't want to believe that that is like the source of life or the end all be all. And that's what I've been unpacking with my therapist. Like, no, like right now, I actually don't want to even focus on any of that. I just want to focus on this. Is
You
that
focus
okay?
on you.
Yeah. And she's like, yeah, that's fine. And that's why you need people. Like nobody in life can go through this by themselves. You need someone to help you be able to break a toxic relationship. And that's where I come in. And that's why I wrote the book. So if you need help, you definitely want to go and get the book, KianaDaniels.com or on Amazon.
And that's why I continue to talk about, definitely in my podcast, about creating you and defining you, because most people really don't know who they are.
Yes.
Because we have tackled so much as far as behaviorally trying to find ourselves, because what we learned when we were born, I'm sorry parents, people were born in the 50s and the 30s and the 40s, and it's just not working in these days and times now.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
behaviorally, everything has changed, and evolution is keep changing, where things are keep evolving. So things are totally different from what the 70s and the 80s and the 60s and the 40s and the 30s look like. So we have to keep evolving. And you
Yeah,
have to understand it's nothing that you did wrong, but we have to keep evolving as humans and making sure that we're doing the right things. Um,
absolutely.
let's move on to the drama. Um, Tamia and Mo, love, lies, and the church.
Yeah, let's talk about it.
I saw that the book is already sold out, so I'm a little upset by that because it looked like it's quite interesting.
It's a good book. Yeah, this is a series. It's pretty much the self-help. So the Girl Move On book, it has elements of that book in fiction form. So Tamia is a young girl who, she's in church. She was
Yes.
in a relationship prior to meeting Mo, but it went left. And so she meets him. She's not really even trying to date. And he, comes into her life unexpectedly, but then they find themselves in just like a whirlwind of a romance. And she knows that it's not right, but she's having fun. She's
Hmm.
young, she's really pretty, and she hasn't dated in a few years. So she kind of lets herself get involved with this without worrying about the risk. But then she ends up finding herself in a situation to where now she's connected with him for the rest of her life. And so part one and part two, they're both out. You can find it's sold out on my website, but also on Amazon for paperbacks and Kindle. And so now part three is coming out on February 13th, and it's the finale. Like I'm closing these characters out. This is done. I'm done with these characters. But it's just a combination of their story of Tamia now trying to move on, like trying to get past it. And it's really hard to get past a toxic relationship when you have lasting ties with a person. You can't, when you have either business endeavors or children with somebody,
Yeah.
it's really hard. And so you see Tamia trying to struggle to move on with her life, but Mo is like pulling her back in. There's always something. He's always showing up on the scene, causing drama and chaos. But we put it into it in this book, and you get to see how everything comes, to a completion with these
Okay. So I mean, it sounds interesting, but it seemed like Tamia needs to move on.
characters. Yeah,
Sounds like,
and you
girl,
get
move
to see
on.
it.
Let it go.
Yeah, you get to see
Um,
her process, and it's not an easy process for her. She
and I see
struggles.
why you're killing her off.
Well, I'm not killing Tamia off. I do
I'm
want
just
to.
playing.
I
I'm
will
just
let my
playing.
loyal readers know because they're probably like, "What?" Tamia is still here in the story. I think everybody will be pleased with how
Yeah.
these characters evolve and how the story wraps up. I think you guys will be surprised by a lot of things.
Yes.
And you get to see a lot of toxic stuff in with these characters. Tamia deals with a lot. She has a lot to unpack from her childhood. I wanted to make sure that that was an element of the story because a lot of us have things from when we were kids that eventually impact us as an adult, and you get to see Tamia go
Right.
through this. So yeah, it's good. So don't fret, fans. Tamia is alive.
She's alive. She's alive and well, but she just ain't dealing right.
Right, yeah, exactly.
So, how do you guys get to see and know about Kiana Daniels, author Kiana Daniels? You can go to www.kianadaniels.com. That's her website. And also on social media is author Kiana Daniels and also Kiana Daniels on all the social media too as well.
Yes, make sure you guys follow me. I post videos every Monday, 1 minute videos.
On
Um,
YouTube.
and yeah, I'm on YouTube too. I need to get back involved with my YouTube channel, but I am on YouTube too. So check me out, guys. Please do.
So back to Girl Move On. I want you to give these young girls, I know we have some young girls and young ladies on online that need some tips on how to move on from toxic relationships or just moving on from weight loss, moving on or starting school adventures, going to college, starting to get a new boyfriend, or just starting to have a relationship. So give them some tips about that.
Yeah, so my number one tip in relationships, life, is to find out who you are. Find out what you love, what brings you happiness, what brings you joy. I think life is a big process of self discovery. And so, one of the things that I had to learn was what I like, what I enjoy, what makes me me was important for my process as a woman. And so, once I was able to get through that, I was able to lose the weight. I was able to find my worth. I was able to find my confidence. I was able to let go of things that didn't serve me because I'm more self aware now than I was when I was younger because I didn't know who I was. I didn't know my potential or my worth. I didn't know that I could do, like, I knew that I had potential. I knew that I could do incredible things, but I didn't tap into it. So once I tapped into me and was able to become self aware and also just going on a good journey with God and making sure that He was in the center of all that, I was able to do some great things, get the book done. I lost over 100 pounds. I was able to center myself. So focus on you. And once you know who you are, you'll know that you don't have to tolerate drama. You don't have to tolerate mess. And you can do all the incredible things that you set your mind to. So that is my advice. You first get to know you. And then as you are developing, all those other good things will come into life.
Great advice, but then again, I understand that some of the young ladies have role models. They look up to Beyonce and they want to be Beyonce, or they might like Cardi B. Can you give them some tips on how to not so engulf themselves with becoming so enticed with the fame of Cardi B and Beyonce?
Yeah, so I like Cardi B and Beyonce too. I think they're very talented, but I
Right.
also think that for young girls, you need to know that like you're not Cardi B, you're not Beyonce. What do you bring to the table? What are your gifts? What are your talents? What is your purpose? And so you can take the drive of Beyonce or the work
Yes.
ethic of Cardi B and apply that to what you're gifted into. Like you're not going to be them. Yes, you can be influenced by them in
Yes.
certain areas, but find out who you are and what you bring to the table and add the work ethic of a Cardi B and a Beyonce to that. And then you will be great in your own right. Because there's not going to be another Beyonce, there's not going to be another Cardi B, but there's only one you. So if you cultivate yourself, you're good. Don't try to be like them because they already exist and there will not be carbon copies of those women. So be the best you that you can be.
And I like that word of advice because I want people to understand, especially young girls, because they come out with these different songs that have particular meanings, and young adults take a liking to those
Mm-hmm.
um, WAP and all that good stuff. So I want them to understand that because I used to educate too as well, and some of the emphasis when I hear that they go to these little parties and have these little lap dances and things like that,
Mm.
it scared me to hear what they're doing now
Yeah. Yeah.
at these functions.
Yeah.
To know, when I went to a sock hop, I was scared to wear, my t-shirt shorter than my biking shorts.
Yeah.
So, it was kind of scary back then. But what they're doing now is something totally different. Not saying that anything right or wrong, but to be
Yeah.
more cautious.
Yeah.
So
Definitely. I think definitely it starts at home. I have a little girl and she's 6 and definitely my mom is watching this, crediting her with my upbringing and teaching me what was right from wrong, giving me that foundation. I know a lot of girls, a lot of kids in general, they don't have that. They don't have solid
yes,
homes. They don't have good parents showing them what's right from wrong. And some people will unfortunately have to learn the hard way. But when you know your worth and you have a good foundation and you're taught things, then that helps you not go down a path that's not designed for you. But if you do find yourself in, on a path that's not designed for you, it's never too late to get back on track. But I definitely see it. Social media is all the rage, and you see these kids, they want to be like the stars and celebrities. They want to look like them. They want to be as pretty as them. They want to dress like them. And it's nothing wrong with aspiring to be like somebody, but make sure that you have the right person you're looking to. There's incredible people who might be around you who are doctors, who are lawyers, like you just mentioned Cicely Tyson earlier. 96 years of just grace, class. Look at that.
Yes.
Not shading in Beyonce or Cardi B at all, because again, like I like them as well, but I want to be me in my gifts and callings and not looking at what other people are doing. But I know when you're a teenager and you're young,
Yes.
that is, what you're aspiring to. But as you get to know who you are, you might find that your doctor or the nurse who works at your school is somebody that you can look at and get inspired from. So it doesn't always have to be a celebrity. Just because that's who we see, that doesn't have to be what your focus is on.
And young ladies, and I'm just going to say this from a male's point of view, just cover up your body. I would, yes, just cover it up. That's a good word to say, because I think yeah, just cover it up. um, and that's not being old school or anything like that, but it's more trusting when you cover it up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because when you no one wants a cow that's going to give all its milk. So I'll put that in a short term.
Yeah, definitely. That's another thing that starts in the home for sure.
And sometimes it doesn't have to start in the home, because sometimes we have TV shows where you see people are still covered up. So even if your mom is not covered up, watch a TV show where it can show you to be covered up. You don't have to be like your mom if she's not covered up. So you can use your own brain and cover up. And you don't have to be like the video vixens, and you can cover up.
Yeah, there's more.
We're not saying anybody right or wrong, but just too much skin is not good. And we understand if you're at the beach, it's okay. But you're not at the beach every day.
Very true. Yes, so, especially not now. I live in Michigan. Ain't nobody uncovered right now.
So I mean, it's a time and place for everything. It's a time and place for everything. So you want to be remembered for the time and place that you were at, and you were at the time and place and at the season for what you were dressed for.
Yeah, definitely, absolutely.
And that's a part of Girl Moving On, because presented as such, you might attract different attention.
Yes, yeah.
And I want to say that very candid, that in that attraction, it's not saying that you're bringing anything wrong on yourself, but you just will attract different attention.
Yeah.
Because you don't know the mindset of whoever looking at you. And I want to say that very candid to the young girls and the older women too that do it too as well.
Yes, because
and I just have to be honest, because there's some older women that do it too as well, and it's okay. But then again, you still have to understand what are you sought after. So
yeah, for sure. Yeah, definitely want to make sure that the energy and the things that we put out are definitely speaking to what it is that we want to attract. Yeah. And that's definitely on all levels. So it's something to think about. And I know sometimes it's not something that everyone wants to focus on, but making sure that what we do, our actions say things about us and what we want to attract and bring to us. Sometimes it's predicated upon, how we're showing up.
And I want to say one more thing. If you have a potty mouth, you're probably going to have a potty relationship.
That definitely might be the case.
I'm just saying, if everything F-bombs all day long, just know that's what you're going to attract.
Yeah. Yeah. And some people, they definitely don't care about that, but for sure.
And that's what your life is going to be about. If that's what you're F-bombing, that's what that's what kind of life you're going to have. So, and if you keep speaking that over your life, that's what you're going to have. And,
yes.
Hey, I just have to be honest about things like that. So,
yes, for sure. Certainly.
So we have to just continue to keep moving on and wanting to know that you can continue to speak positive things over your life, but in understanding how to move on and keep moving on and moving forward, the more positive things you do to embrace and encourage and move forward in your life, the more positive things you can get out of your life. And with the assistance of author Kiana Davis and her dating expert advice, being an educator and an author, I mean, you're well on your way to having a successful date, moving forward, moving on and letting go. So definitely reach out to her. So we want to thank her for her opportunity and for her time for visiting us. And like I told her, that this was well taken and well received. We want to just applaud her for her candidness and the ability to give our women folk some information about moving on and actually being able to let things go, and some tips for our young girls about just being able to stay focused.
Yes,
just
absolutely.
Stay focused.
It's possible.
Are there any parting words or some educational or motivational things you want to tell them before we part here today?
Yeah, definitely. If you are in a situation now in a toxic relationship and you might have an inkling or a hunch that this is not the situation for you, it's not too late. I know some women or men, depending on the situation, might be in situations where you're like, I think that this is a case for me to move on. I don't know how to do it. It might be too late. It's never too late. You can start today if you really want to let go of something, as long as you surround yourself with people who are going to help you and you hold yourself accountable. You can come up with a plan to let go. And so that's what I wrote my book about. You need to take some time to reflect, figure out how you got in the situation, why, journaling, praying, talking to someone, a therapist or a trusted leader, and then work your way through the process. And my final word is, it's possible. You can successfully let go of a toxic relationship. You can successfully lose weight. You can successfully do whatever it is that you have in your mind and heart to do. As long as you stay consistent, you work hard and you're dedicated, you can be successful. So I just want to leave, those are like my parting words. Whatever you have in your heart to do, if you want to do it, you can, if you put in the work.
Now, understand you can always find her at www.kianadaniels.com. And also, she's author Kiana Daniels on Facebook. She's on YouTube. She's author Kiana Daniels on Instagram and all other social media websites too as well.
Yeah.
We'll actually be coming back on the 14th with the Black History segment with producer Brandy Well. And also on the 21st, we'll be doing the Property Warrior about buying real estate and land. And then on the 28th, which will be my born day, we'll be having something about move on with the guys, getting to your targets.
Awesome.
So we're going to have something on about the guys, and we're going to have Eric Clean Cut Dixon on. He's a barber stylist and a mental health advocate, and he's going to be our special guest. So like I've always said, that what we're going to do is tell a friend, tell a foe, tell a spouse, Heck, tell everyone. We'll see you on the next podcast, which will be on February 7th. And you'll be seeing our own author, Kiana Daniels. See you later. And thank you for joining. Bye-bye.
Bye.